Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to Talking Points, the show where we tackle the questions that you want to ask about investments, property, tax, business, and lots more. You are, of course, as always, welcome to ask any questions you may have regarding the show, uh, about the topic, or interact with our experts, and also to share your opinions. Now, if you're watching live on YouTube, then pop your questions into the YouTube chat box, and we'll get to as many of those as possible. But we will also share an email address at the end for you to get in touch if you don't get to think of your question while we're on live. Of course, as always, we are reliant on internet. So if for whatever reason we are cut off during the live recording, we do apologize and we'll upload a version for you to view as soon as possible. My name is Damien Anderson, and today we're going to be changing things up a little bit. We're going to be talking about business, and in particular, how to get more business. Now, this is something that I think nobody would say no to. Now, many of you who tune in every week are, of course, business owners already. So it's exciting to see that there are opportunities out there for smaller businesses who may not have the means to create a big marketing campaign. Now, for most, if not all of my marketing career, I've always believed that the word of mouth marketing is the most powerful marketing tool available. But of course, that comes with a lot of effort behind to get to the point where the client can become a walking billboard for your company. But now the question is, in a world full of chances and marketing noise, how do you get new business through reliable means such as referral? Well, today you're going to find out. Our expert today is a businesswoman with a great deal of experience in business and networking. And she's been in the very scary world of sales for more than 26 years. And after running a number of those years in the rat race, she decided that she will create her own opportunities by starting her own business in 2003. She's a self-confessed wealth creator and has been walking a long path with the Wealth Masters Club. And after that, she decided not to become the owner of one, but 6 Business Masters Network franchises. Please welcome Lauren Erasmus. Lauren, thank you so much. It's so lovely to have you here today. And I know that running business is not an easy task and it's quite time consuming. So I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you very much, Damien. Thank you very much for this opportunity to also share this platform with everyone.
Fantastic. And now, Lauren, not only are you the owner of 6 franchises, you're also the president of Business Masters Network International. Is that right?
That is correct, yes, Damien. We did appointments in July, end of July. So my term will be till July next year.
Amazing. And Lauren, I think you'll agree that this is probably the most difficult time in recent history for businesses not only to be operating, but also to be making a profit, if not that, just getting by each month. So I don't think there's ever been a more appropriate time to create a platform for business owners to engage, to talk, to share, to encourage, and most of all, to find good business. So now to kick off, can you just tell us in a nutshell, what is the Business Masters Network?
So we are a platform of businesses that work internationally, and then how it works, it will be franchises in the different areas, and there will be opportunity for businesses to sign up in the different business units. Now, looking at the different categories that we have got available on Business Masters Network, you will see there's a very vast amount of businesses that we do cater for. And then also, then what is nice for them to know is they will be the only business that represent that business unit within the franchise throughout the country. So there won't be a conflict of interest in terms of that. So it also helps them to know that they will be the only service provider that can be contacted for that specific service in their region, just for the fact of being part of this platform.
Amazing. And Lauren, just tell us, what was the goal when creating this platform? What was the thought behind it and how did it all begin?
It's so ironic, the timing that all of this started was just it was literally a month before lockdown came about. And so nobody expected something like Corona to ever happen to us. And what was quite amazing was at that stage that our CEO could see was looking at quality service providers that can help him with home renovations that he was wanting to do at his house. He was struggling to find people that he can actually use for that purpose. And then he came across Ethan, that is also now appointed as a representative for business. And he realized that, this is an organized way for businesses to do business with each other, because there are deals every day, everywhere. And we can just as well put it on a platform where we can be incentivized for actually giving referrals to other businesses and making sure that all of us are actually in a position of not only growing our own profit margin, but also making sure that other service providers also benefit from this whole platform.
Great stuff. And now talking about the people benefiting, who are the correct people? Who are the right people who will benefit from the Business Masters system?
That is such a valid point, Damien. The thing is, at the end of the day, if you are not really going to network, it's slightly problematic for us as part of the platform, because we need people that are inclined to want to meet other people and be deal makers and put people together in order to finalize the transactions. It's not just about ourselves. It's also about how can we help other businesses. It forms part of our value proposition that we can also support in helping our clients to get, I almost call it a one-stop shop solution for what they want to do, whether it's in their personal capacity or whether it's in their business capacity as well. And it is so ironic. It was literally a month before lockdown that we started with a pilot version of this platform. And the ironic thing is, if people were on a platform like this, and for instance, they were closed down during lockdown, they would still have been able to refer the business to the essential services as part of our platform, and were still being able to earn an income, even though their own doors were still closed. So it just shows you that how important it is to have people that are also investing in our best interest and look after each other, that we can also make use of this platform for even looking after people that's not able to work in a time like this.
Of course. And I mean, I think that's what we need as businesses. I mean, it's all about holding hands and helping one another, when we need. It goes back to the whole concept of Ubuntu. I have, I give, you have, you give. And now you mentioned as well that, people need to be getting involved in all of that. So let's imagine myself as a business owner. What value could you bring to me through the Business Masters Network to make me sign up, to pay the monthly fees, to pitch up for meetings, to get involved and, combine efforts in the group? What are those values that you guys can bring to us?
So firstly, looking at the word make them pay, it is, the benefit that you get from the whole platform is a lot wider than that, because when I started out in Wealth Masters Club, which is the other part of Business Masters Network as well, it was very much about leveraging our time, effort, money, and resources. And that we learned right from the beginning. And this way is a perfect way to do that, because now instead of having to focus 100% on your effort, your money, and your time, you can now leverage that by using the other service partners that's also on the platform to help you generate that income. Because at the end of the day, we are so privileged to also have Wealth Masters Club as part of this process, because it's like my fiance was asking me right in the beginning, is what we almost must keep in mind is, if we start making all this money from Business Masters Network, what are we going to do with it? And that is where the platforms within Wealth Masters Club teaching you how to invest, what is safe investment vehicles that we can use that are actually investing. Because at the end of the day, what does it help us to put our money in the bank? What does it help us if we can't protect our assets and money in systems that actually protect it? So it's not just only about wealth creation, it's also about wealth protection and wealth preservation for our generations to come. So looking at what we can offer holistically, we have got a lot to offer to all the people that's involved within our platform.
Fantastic, Lauren. And I like what you said there about, we're always in that rat race of chasing the money, and the next sale, you get the funds. And now, what are the business owners doing then to make sure that that is protected? So tying back to the whole Corona thing, if they
Yes.
had planned properly and they had that money in the bank and they knew what to do with it, I think a lot of businesses would have been able to survive all of this. And I think it's going to be very foolish of us to say that, it comes around once in a lifetime, it'll never happen again. Nobody expected it now, no one will expect it, in 5, 10 years again. So I think that's a really good way of seeing it, that, let's not chase one goal, let's look at it holistically. But now back to the business masters. What are the core sort of values? Like, drilling down to it, what was the point of us creating this and the core that'll keep people coming back and helping everyone along?
So for me, one of the core values is really reciprocity. So the social norm of responding to a positive action with another positive action, rewarding that kind of actions. So it is about, if I can help you, then you can also help me. And it is very ironic if you look at the teachings of Robert Kiyosaki as well. So anybody that hasn't read that book, please go and do yourself a favor. Just go through that book again with a highlight if you have to, because there are so many valuable fundamental concepts that we can learn many things from reading that book. And it talks about that. So, we should always go into this with an attitude of what can I give, and never to expect something in return. Because the moment you start giving and you understand what is your value proposition, and I even go as far as I know what is my value proposition. So I sign up service providers that is just an extenuation of the value proposition that I already had in the beginning. And that makes the referral process so much easier. So when I have got a conversation with my client and ask them, do you need an accountant? Do you need a property specialist? Do you need 12H? Or you paying pay as you earn anyway? I've got all that service providers that's part of my team that can assist the client regardless of where he is in his wealth creation process. So it's about looking out for each other and not just about what is your own personal gain from it. And it's very ironic, and I've been reading a lot up on why people are skeptical of networking. And I personally think, Damien, it's very much a mindset thing. It's a lack of self-belief that you cannot do it. Because if you really think about it, if we go to a restaurant and we like it, we tell our friends about it. If we go and watch a nice movie, we tell our friends about it. But now all of a sudden, when now we have to refer business, it's suddenly all of a sudden is a problem. If you look at children, I mean, what is the best way of promoting a product? Is give it to children. Because have you seen the crazes that children follow? I mean, it is a week and then all the parents has bought that product or that toy or whatever the case might be. So, for me, I personally feel fear is something that you don't get born with that. You are actually exposed to things in life that makes you think maybe I'm not as good as it or whatever the case might be. But I personally feel it is actually a born characteristic of all human beings that we want to promote things that we love. And this is a perfect platform that Kurt has created for us to now use a platform like this and just do it in a well-organized way. Because the benefit of this platform for the service providers then will be is that we get incentivized. If there are two lawyers, for example, and I'm going to get incentivized by making use of a business masters network lawyer versus another one, I'm rather going to use the one for which I'm going to get incentivized. It's just logical that it will work that way. So that is why people that are part of this platform gain a lot from it and benefits a lot from it, because they will always be the preferred service provider within the area that they are working in.
And Lauren, now you've obviously been on both sides in terms of business. You've been, or three sides actually, you've been a consumer, you've been an employee, and you're now a business owner. So where do you think business owners are falling short lately with relation to running a successful business?
Yeah, Damien, what I'm just finding is, especially post-corona, people are so stressed out. And, now they are trying to make up for the money that they've lost during that time that they were closed down. And now they're working twice, three times as hard as than what they have done before. Damien, in my opinion, the time Corona hit us, it was actually only an X-ray of what your business was already, how your business was already performing at that time. it didn't even allow for 3 weeks or 4 weeks prior to lockdown. They immediately said they have to lay off staff. They can't pay their bills. So was it really because of Corona, or was it just by the way their business was run before Corona that they just couldn't see themselves surviving post-Corona and lockdown? So my question is, coming back again to Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow quadrant, is you have to ask yourself, if only 5% of us are in the investing quadrant, and we are handling 95% of the world's wealth, don't we want to be there? Because how is it possible that 95% of people that is in the employee or the self-employed quadrant is actually only handling 5%? So it just tells you the quicker we move over to the other quadrant and actually realize that we have to become business owners, and which means work on our business and not in our business, and become investors like we teach all of our members within Wealth Masters Club, the quicker we can do something about our situation. Looking at people and rich families like the Rothschilds and the Gosvenors and the Duke of Westminster and all those families, when you look at them, they were not affected by Corona. And as a matter of fact, they were giving money away post-Corona. So isn't that why we are in the situation that we are in? Because we're not protecting our wealth. And this Afrikaans saying that alles is 'n gejaag na wind. But since I became involved with Wealth Masters Club and Business Masters Network, I don't believe that anymore. I really feel like we can do something about our circumstances, and we can, as the founders, can now change the way that our generations will work with money going forward, and we don't have to rely on economies failing and things like Corona that actually just puts us back to nothing. And it's also very sad to me that looking at the tendency of what happens after our parents and our grandparents die is that the children always have to start again from scratch. But why is that necessary? If we as the parents and the grandparents can put the necessary structures in place for our children and start thinking like investors and not like employees and self-employed people, because a self-employed person is only you own a job, you have got the potential then to change your generations to come's lives forever. And in my opinion, this is the only way that we can really safeguard our generations to come, is this way. Like Kurt always says, this is not the only way, but in my opinion, it's definitely the best way.
Nice, yes. And now the Business Masters Network, how is that coming in to sort of curb the cycle of bad business that was done before? You mentioned that people need to be working on their business, not necessarily just in their business. How is the Business Masters helping those guys to see and understand in terms of learning?
So that's a very valid point. So when I started out in all of this, Tony de Gavaya is actually my personal mentor, and he also helped me in setting up my very first franchise as well. And I never for the life of me thought that I will get into a position where I now own 6 franchises. And it's because of the training and being in the presence of people that's very successful and that's investors themselves and starting to think like an investor. Because if you're not going to change your mindset, and what is the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So my question, Damien, is if you have been doing something a certain way for how many years or more than a decade and you're getting the same results, how do you think is that anything is going to change? So why not make use of a platform like us? We only have got a 30-day money back guarantee if you're not happy with what you see, and then at least give us a try and see if all of this can go for you, and see if this cannot be an extenuation of what you wanted to do in the first place. I just think with everyone or so many people that's considering going overseas, that won't even be a problem, because you can get somebody to manage your franchise in South Africa, and you can continue with this overseas, because the same principle that is working for Business Masters in South Africa will also work anywhere else in the world. So that should not keep people back from trying out a platform like this. And so there's many ways of actually increasing your bottom line by using a platform like this, because I honestly don't know looking at other franchises, for example, I know it's millions that you need to spend to actually even get a franchise from, for example, McDonald's and KFC, those places. So to pay what we pay and actually be mentored by people like Cook and Tony de Gavaya is just priceless. And that really makes the difference at the end of the day.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And now, Lauren, there's a saying that goes, and I'm sure you've heard it 100 times, the customer is always right. But I think you could go so far as to say the customer's not always right, but they have the right to be wrong. So what happens in an instance where a franchise owner has, or someone who is dealing with the Business Masters Network, they've had what they believe to be a poor experience. And, you know, there's always three sides to a story. There's your side, there's my side, and then there's the truth. And, you know, after looking into it, turns out that the customer was wrong. As a franchise owner, are there processes in place to ensure that there's a protection of the service providers in this instance?
Absolutely. So what we have put in place, luckily right from the beginning, is there's a rating service built into this. So 2 weeks after the client has contacted the service provider, they will be asked to be rated. So we even make sure that the invoicing was according to what the client was billed. We make sure that everything is above board, is 100% transparent. And what is nice about that also, Jamie, it's not just about the client rating the service provider, but also the service provider rating the client as well. Because why that is important, some people, especially in a time like this, everybody is so under stress. And, you know, something that would normally not have been an issue for you now becomes a point of irritation just for the fact that you're having a bad day, you had to homeschool your child, or so everybody's just a little bit more high-strung, after Corona than what normally would have been the case. So obviously, head office will then investigate a complaint. They will listen to both sides of the story, and they will try to, come back with a solution that will be to the benefit of all the parties involved. Definitely taking everything into consideration.
Fantastic. And I think that's so important now, because I think there's become this whole generational understanding of, I am the client, I'm always going to be right, you need to listen to me, which isn't always the case. And,
Yes.
they feel, I'm spending money, I'm giving you a lot of, business, I'm giving you money, I have that right. So I think just that little bit of almost like a coaching and training of them could be a great thing. But now, here's another real world example. So I'm sure a lot of people who are watching have had something similar happen to them in the past. So let's say I'm using the Business Masters Network and I've selected the service of a carpenter. So I go through the process, I get a quote, I pay my deposit, and he disappears with the money. Doesn't take my calls, there's no emails, replies, or anything. What can the Business Masters Network do to, protect the end user, to break this whole chain of business thievery?
So that is a very important thing that we just need to clarify to everyone. So when a service provider do become part of our platform, we actually have got an application form that they need to complete for head office. And the franchise owner will sign off that application form that they are happy with the service provider that they have taken on. So on there, we will have their contact details, their ID numbers, their domiciliary address, and everything regarding that service provider. So what will also be nice is most of the service providers we sign up is not just somebody that we just did not know before. It's normally a referral of somebody that's already within the network. So they already have got a history of working with that service provider for a year, more than 1 year, even more than 10 years in some cases. So what will be nice for our clients to know then is that the people that we put on is really quality service provider. It's not fly by night. It's not somebody that, like for example, I'm the wealth coach. So it will be a very bad idea for me to go and sign up a Tyler that maybe did one job for me in 3 years versus a handyman that is using a Tyler on every second day. So you will already be able to vouch for the quality of that Tyler because he's working with that Tyler on a very regular basis. And based on the feedback that he would have received on that service provider that he has introduced to us, obviously it's very unlikely that that service provider will default, because we already know a lot about him. And it was not just, and it's not just a random choice that we make to get him into the platform just for the sake of having a Tyler, for example.
Amazing. So Lauren, we've spoken a lot about the nice things and the good things. Now let's get down to the brass tacks. What is the cost for joining as a service provider, or if someone's interested in owning their own franchise? What are the costs involved?
So let's start with being a service provider first. So you have to be a Platinum Elite member of Wealth Masters Club in order to get a slot within Business Masters Network. So that is $28, which is more or less 460 Rand now. But what is nice about knowing that is, like I explained a little bit earlier as well, is now you make all this money from Business Masters Network, but where are you going to invest your money? So we've got options like 12J, Gold, we've got Silver that just launched 2 months ago. We've got many different platforms that you can invest in. Looking at what my bank account is doing in terms of my money that I have in there, I mean, it's not worth it to even have it in there. Even get people to understand that having so much of their money in a pension fund, for example, is not a good idea. Rather take that, and please, my advice is not as a financial advisor, it's just in my personal capacity that I go about it this way, is that, making sure that you've got eggs in different baskets. If you ask most people where are they earning income from, it's only from one income stream. And we as Wealth Masters Club can help you then to have different multiple income streams, not only within Wealth Masters Club, but also from Business Masters Network. Because Damien, quite a few weeks ago, I was attending a coaches training. And what came out in the coaches training that they were talking about, what is our biggest commodity? Our biggest commodity is not our property, it's not our gold, it's not investments, it's not the money in the bank. It is our ability to earn an income. So what people must realize that every single service provider, because you're getting referral commission on a referral that you give them, you're getting commission on that transaction. So that is how you really leverage your time and your money. And with the way that our platform is currently working, even we have incorporated notes now, so we get feedback on every single transaction that we have referred as well. So you can then check how strong your pipeline of business is as well. So which means you know that in January, 100,000 is going to be paid out, or whatever the case might be. So it also motivates us as people that gives the referrals all the time to keep on referring, because we can see that the deals are actually getting closed. So there's a lot of advantages and money-making opportunities within Wealth Masters Club and Business Masters Network. And what our viewers must just also remember is that every single rand that you are contributing to this is also paid into your club units, which helps you to also save in towards your retirement. So you're actually, in effect, paying nothing to be part of this whole concept in terms of being a service provider. When you want to have your own franchise, it will be by means of an application that will be sent through to the head office. And what will happen then is we will do a vetting process to see whether you qualify to have your own franchise. And that is only $25 as a non-refundable application fee, so we can go through the vetting process. So what will happen is we have got certain turnovers that we have to get to as franchise owners within a certain period of time. So should you not do so well in terms of turnover, or even when you do well, depending on the turnover that you will generate on your franchise, you will be able to sell it for that value going forward. So which means if you have a very strong franchise with a lot of service providers generating a hell of a lot of turnover within that franchise, you will be able to sell that franchise for quite a bit of money, substantial bit of money in the future. Well, the flip side of that is also true. If you don't have that many service providers and your turnover is very low, you will not be able to sell your franchise for a lot of money going forward. So that is, in my opinion, a very fair way of determining the value of a franchise and how your participation within your franchise and building your team within your franchise will help you to also generate a franchise that can be very profitable for you at the end of the day.
Amazing. So Lauren, we're running a bit out of time, but I've just got a couple more short questions. So what happens if I want to join a franchise and there's already another service provider giving that same service in the franchise? How do we split the business, or is there a profit share? How does that work?
So what is important to realize is that, remember, I just spoke a little bit earlier about it's normally a referral of the current service provider to bring in that new service provider. So it's very unlikely that something like that will happen. And what I'm doing with some of my service providers, I'm coaching them so that they can start their own franchises going forward. So that's another option. But in a case, for example, where there's, for example, estate agents, they can come to an agreement if there's more than one, that they are happy with being two estate agents in that franchise because they're not working in the same area. So, but it's just with the approval of the other service provider that gives a similar service that the other one will be allowed. So in my opinion, one will probably be more successful than the other one, and then one will overshadow the other one, will mean that they will be getting more business. But it will depend on franchise to franchise how that will pan out, definitely.
Awesome. And then why do you suggest someone joins Business Masters Network, sorry, as opposed to any other networking platform? Why this?
One, it is not expensive to join this. Secondly, you get mentoring and training from a very high level. Certainly, we're getting high quality customers because the average client that we have in our system already belongs to Wealth Masters Club, which is the one to look after the wealth and the money and the assets. So it's a high income client that we also have on the platform. And then also lastly is we are a lead generating business. So if you look at what it will cost you to do a website like we have in Business Masters Network, or spend money on advertising and marketing and those kind of platforms, it will be very expensive. While this way, you can focus on building relationships within Business Masters Network and everyone understanding how we can all work together to get business from each other. So awesome. That is what the benefit is for me.
And then are there documents available? I mean, we've spoken a lot about details, but I think there's so much more in-depth information that needs to be shared with everybody. Are there any documents available that someone can go and view the ins and outs of the network, how it works and what they need to do?
So our contact person at head office is Ethan at wealthmastersclub.com. He is handling all the franchise applications. He's also in charge of training all the nitty-gritty in terms of head office and how they are involved in the whole concept. Also, what people can do is they can go on Business Masters Network under documents, and then all the documents that is related to Business Masters Network is on there, also the terms and conditions. So there they can also get a good idea of what is involved in being part of our system. And then lastly, for me, anybody that also just want to get an idea of, where do I start? What can I do? How do we build? Because I'm very much involved with all my teams, I can give some advice as well. Lauren at wealthmastersclub.com, how we can also then just get them off the ground and how to start putting all of this in place for them.
Incredible. Lauren, I think it's so great to see that there are platforms out there that are looking out for small business operators. It gives them access to new business. And like I said earlier, in order to grow, we need to grow together. Because what's the point of success if nobody's there to share it with and nobody's there to push you even further? So thank you so much for this. Like Lauren said, if anyone's interested, visit businessmastersnetwork.com. And there you'll find all the information to get in touch. Every week, we're going to be here touching on a new subject around business growth, investment, and the like. But next week, we have something very special, so you better tune in. And if you'd like to learn more about the wealth creation, you can join us on the 3rd of October for a full-day webinar. And for the very first time, this webinar is going to be free, completely mahala. So it's a great early Christmas present to give yourself. You can give yourself the gift of knowledge, the power to share with your friends and family too. So this is something you should really look at. The webinar will cover everything from building, managing, and keeping your wealth. Lauren, have you ever been to one of these webinars before?
Absolutely, Damien. That's actually where my whole journey with Wealth Masters Club started. It was actually only in February this year. I could talk about the Duke of Westminster, and I was blown away about how easy it is just to protect your money and wealth in our specialized trusts and actually make us unrestricted and get us investors. So I just immediately signed up. I did my online course, and like I say, the rest was history. So that's actually where everything started for me. And I'm very happy that we can have a platform like this that we can share with other people to also get them in the same position as we are.
And there you have it. So make sure you don't miss out. You want to join the journey that Lauren's been on, then you need to visit www.wealthmastersclub.com. And on the right-hand side of the homepage, there's a link for you to book your tickets. If you have friends, colleagues, or any other business partners who you think would enjoy this video or who are looking at new networking opportunities, please feel free to share this with them, because business growth is really all about sharing and sticking and working together. All of our other videos on Talking Points playlists will be available on the Wealth Masters YouTube channel called Wealth Masters TV for you to enjoy and to learn at a later stage. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon. That way you'll be notified of the next upcoming chat so you don't miss a thing. Lauren, once again, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for tuning in, and we will see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Damien. Bye, everyone. Bye.